Hey, it's such an honor to have everybody here, man. This is an event that's a long time in coming, and we just appreciate the huge support. You know, I got a guy sitting next to me that changed my life, and I hope he does the same for y'all today, because the story is unbelievable. It's Donny Pauling, a native of California, Redding, California. Lives. So Donny, tell us, does somebody start out their lives as a teenager or getting into porn? I mean, do you have that goal? Hey, I want to get into porn. Hey, I want to be a porn producer.
No, I was always very good in school, and I had decided I was going to go into computer science, actually. And so when I started looking, though, into the business and the amount of money that was being made in porn, slowly over time I decided to become a porn producer, and it actually started with my own interest in porn. I was surfing the news groups, looking at pictures, and started contacting the people that own the sites and asking them where they got their content. And the great thing for me was I was raised a pastor's son, and because of that, I saw the dark side of Christianity. I always saw some really horrible things that go on in the background, and I absolutely hated Christians. I mean, that's not too strong of a word. I literally hated Christians. So producing porn not only filled my addiction to money, but it also let me throw it in the faces of the people that I'd grown up around.
Run us through, because I'm assuming that not many guys get it, about what the everyday looks like for a porn producer.
The companies I worked for were really big, so one of my jobs was to recruit models. My biggest client was Playboy, and you all know them, and if I started listing off the sites that I produced for you, probably some of you might recognize them too. So in the mornings I'd get up and I'd look at my calendar and I'd see who's on the schedule for interviews, and if we had a photo shoot, we'd set up for that. I worked right out of my house. I always had a really nice house. I tried an office for a while, but the house was more effective, and I'll tell you a little bit more about why later. But we'd schedule interviews, do some production in the middle of the day, do some editing later in the evening.
How are these ladies coming to your door? What's the avenue that they're physically driving to your house? I mean, how does that look? How do you position that?
Well, I'm a pretty outgoing person, so I'd walk up to some girls in the malls and hand them a card and tell them to talk to me. I would run ads in the papers. I'd pay models that had worked for me before for referrals. There's a wide variety of ways to attract models. MySpace was a really big one. I loved recruiting off of MySpace.
What and tell us about that. A girl comes to the door, because Donny, I got to go to Sacramento right after Donny kind of made that decision to take Christ back into his heart, and I walked into a house that was in the middle of a neighborhood. It was kind of suburban America, very nice house. When they're knocking on your door, what's going through your mind?
Well, the girls, some of them knew that they were going to be talking to me about taking their clothes off, but a lot of them, some of them didn't have a clue at all. So it was my job, and it was a challenge I enjoyed, to, bring them from a place where they're kind of a little bit shaky about it at first to, an hour later doing a test shoot, which is, stripping and removing their clothes, letting Belinda, my fiance, ex-fiance, take some sample photos of them, just to kind of show them that, this really isn't that scary. I like to put off the feeling of normalcy. We're normal people. We've got a nice house. We're not creepy like some of the porn producers that you might see the movies, depict. We're just normal, everyday people, and porn's a normal, everyday activity.
And you're using photos like these?
Yeah, they see us at the Playboy Mansion. They see some of our work in some of Playboy's publications, and we have those just kind of randomly sitting around, and we know that it's going to attract their attention. We also see, we also show them photos from parties, photos from famous porn stars, where we're, standing side by side with like Ron Jeremy or Jenna Jameson or something, and basically start building up an excitement within them. Because porn nowadays, to nowadays kids, I mean, you see people walking around wearing porn star shirts. They say porn star on them, and everybody thinks, it's just being funny. But what it really does is it breaks down the walls for me,
So playing on girls in the physicality of fame, playing on girls and the fact that we're going to give you some cash. Talk about that cash element that's involved, where you can take a girl that perhaps knocks on your door, doesn't want to get naked, or didn't think she was going to get naked. What does that look like? What's that pitch like? And what is the money like?
Well, what we paid them is $500 a day. And most of these girls are college students, the ones that we were recruiting. So $500 a day, that's more than they take home in 3 weeks from a normal job when you're a college student. And so the money, of course, is very attractive. And then the glamour, we make sure that you come through a place where it looks nice. You start envisioning yourself in that world. You start seeing yourself making the kind of money that would buy you all these things and going to the parties that we show you in the pictures. And it gets you excited. $500 a day is a minimum. If they want to do something more hardcore, the price goes up.
What are you making?
If I work a full day, the profit after the models are paid is $3,000 or $4,000. So each day that we work,
$4,000, and the models get $500 of that.
Right. And then the companies that purchase it from me, who knows how much they make from it, because it's not any one model normally that makes them money. It's just a constant influx of new talent that keeps people coming back.
What was a bad year for you, money-wise?
After I went full-time, my worst year ever was $250,000 is what I made, because we decided to work half the month and take the rest of the month off. So we were pretty lazy. We just had relaxed time, and it was just the two of us working it. And so we work half a month, go on trips, just kind of relax and have a good.
So, it sounds to me from the outside, man, you're telling somebody this and you're pitching to somebody about this lifestyle that, this sounds, hey, man, your bad year's $250,000, you see some naked girls, you spit this stuff out. What's the reality? One of the reasons is, why bring Donny here? Why give you this education? What is the reality for a guy like you when you were doing porn for an audience? What was that reality for you?
Well, basically, what would happen is, some girls, that they can only do a job or two. They're going to have the money spent within a couple of weeks, and then their content's going to exist forever. And as we became more and more well known, then it would always happen that not 2 weeks after we photographed a model, they'd be crying. They'd be calling me up on the phone crying, begging me if I can have the photos removed. But the companies that bought the content, they're not going to take it down. They're major companies. And so they're crying, saying, my dad found me. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore.